Welcome to our custom space, where dreams take flight.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. And you've probably all seen the viral resin lace effect going around at the moment. And I thought I would give it a try, but I wanted to try something a little bit different. And in this experiment, I've got 3 different whites that I'm going to try it with to see if any of them work better than the other. And I just think it'd be interesting to see what different results we get, if we get any. So it's going to be quite interesting. I'm using these 3 different coaster molds, and as I say, I've got 3 different whites set up at the side. You have got voiceover, Andy, in this video, because after recording a 38-minute video, I realised that my microphone wasn't plugged in. So apologies for that, but we're going to get straight into the project. First thing I've done is mixed up some resin. I know that the Lotus flower mould holds 4 ounces and the other 2 hold 2 ounces each, which is 8 ounces. So I've mixed up 10 ounces just to be safe with the white. Now I'm going to try and do this at around about 34 degrees is what I want the resin at before I actually start. So because I would imagine with this effect, you want it pretty much the same temperature as the bloom. So this is my resin. As I say, it's been mixed up, gone through the debubbler, and we're currently at around about 33 degrees. So we're not far off. And I think I'm pretty happy to go with that anyway. So I'm going to mix up the whites so that we're ready. I've got some stones that I'm going to be putting in the center as well. These sort of iridescent stones, because they've looked really cool in previous projects. And the idea is to get those in the center so that we've got, hopefully, a pretty center. But then I'm also going to try and pipe a mini 3D bloom in the center just to see what it looks like. So just putting around about 4 or 5 scoops of these iridescent glass rocks into the first cup. And I really love the colours that these let off. They're absolutely stunning. So hopefully you can see that in the picture. And again, if it's your first time to the channel, guys, do me a favour, like and subscribe. These are some iridescent flakes that I just thought I'd add to give it a bit more iridescence in that centre, because I wanted these to look special at the end. So again, just spray, well, oh, they've all gone in. You don't get many in these pots. So there we go. They're all in there as well, ready for the centre. And you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm getting over flu at the minute. I thought as well, just to add a little bit of something extra as well, I'm just going to add some of these silver foil pieces in there as well, just to give it a bit more sparkle in that centre. And if you've not used these foils before, they stick to your gloves, guys. So you're probably better off using tweezers rather than your gloved hands. So there we go. That is my centre mix. Pretty happy with hopefully what that's going to look like. I've got some alcohol inks ready at the side as well, just to drip in there. So first thing I'm going to do is just pour a bit of this resin into this centre bit. Doesn't need to be a lot, just enough to cover it and make a bit of a paste. And then I've got the Supreme White from Just For You online. I've got the actual Let's Resin Ocean White. And I've got this rip-off Temu version of Ocean White as well, which I'm going to be trying all 3 just to see if we get a different effect by using different whites. So this is that centre mixture. And I'm loving the way that that looks. I'm going to be doing this same mixture again in some more blooms, I think, going forward, because it came out really, really nice. And make sure you stay till the end, guys. If you want to see the result, stay till the end. It does me a massive favour. And if you can, if you're liking the content on the channel, give it a thumbs up, put something in comments. Yeah, that's how we grow. We've just gone over 7,500. I really want to push us to get to 10,000 over the next few months. and I can only do it with your support. So you just saw that blue glitter there. Again, I thought I wanted a bit more sparkle, and the main colour scheme I'm going with here is going to be blue. So I'm just adding some of that blue glitter as well into the centre. And again, giving it a quick stir around, and I was reasonably happy with this. I thought, do you know what? That adds enough colour for that centre, and I think we're good to go with that. Now, I also wanted to experiment with the lace effect to see if I could colour the white, because you always get a white edge going around, and I just thought it'd be interesting as part of this experiment to pretty much see what would happen if we added some alcohol ink to the white. So again, just testing the two. They're at about 35 degrees, which I think is pretty much ready to pour. And actually, looking back on this now, I think I would have been better off doing it at a lower temperature to allow the resin more time to sort of spread. So again, just pouring about half filling these 2-ounce cups for my white, so about 1 ounce in each. And I am going to be piping these as well because, as I say, I wanted to put a 3D bloom in the centre as well as seeing if I can get the lace effect around the edge. And a top tip here, if you're using 2 separate cups, do a bit from each, and then that way, hopefully, by keeping it roughly the same depth, you're going to keep your temperatures roughly the same. Got my piping bags ready at the side for when they're mixed. And as I say, the first part will be mixing it, going around the edges, pouring the resin in, then putting the alcohol inks in, then hopefully piping a 3D bloom in the centre. I don't know if this is going to work. So the first one I'm going to use is this Supreme White from Just For You online. And I've had some really nice blooms with this. So again, get yourself on Just For You online and get yourself some of this. It's one of my favourite whites. And all I'm doing is just stirring it all around in the pot. And whatever's left on the end of my stick is what I'm going to use. So that's the first one ready. Well, not quite ready. I still need to mix it. I thought as well, I had my sea deeper at the side of me, which I use for peachery. So I thought it can't hurt to just put maybe 4 or 5 drops of that in each of these as well, just to see what effect it has, if any. So again, just putting in around about 4 drops into there and into the other 2 as well, because I actually do that with most of my blooms. I think it helps the white spread. So this is that first one, which is just the Supreme White, stirring it round. And I think I want it to be quite opaque for this. So I actually want it to be more opaque than what I would usually do in a 3D bloom. Normally in a 3D bloom, I want it sort of semi-skimmed milk look. But for this, I wanted it to be more opaque. So hopefully there's enough in there to pull into that centre. And I'm just going to add a couple of drops of this sapphire blue alcohol ink as well from Let's Resin, just to create a pale sort of baby blue rather than it just being white. Again, just making sure it's all thoroughly mixed. And I'm loving the colour. A nice sort of baby blue. I think it's very, very different to the white that you normally get when you see the lace effect. And again, massive shout out to Julie Cuts as well. I know she's been experimenting with this from Pouring Your Heart Out. You're an inspiration to all of us with your blooms and techniques. And if you're watching this video, Julie, I want to get you on the Q&A live, what we do every Tuesday. So send me a message. So that's the first one. The next one, I'm going to use the Ocean White from Let's Resin. And I knew I wanted it a bit more opaque than a bloom. So instead of my usual 1 drop, I'm just going to put 2 decent sized drops into this. And that should hopefully give us enough to make it a little bit more opaque. Again, looking back on reflection, I think all of these whites, I could have added more white to them, which would have given us probably a better effect on the lacing. But again, make sure you thoroughly stir them round as well, because you want it all mixed in, and you want it all to be the same consistency and the same opaqueness when you're doing this. But let me know in comments, guys, what do you think these are going to turn out like? Let's say it's my first attempt at this effect. I've seen some really cool results. I don't have the products what most of those videos are using, so this was just an experiment for me to see if I can get the lace effect, but also if it works with a slightly coloured white like this, and also if I can get a bloom in the centre as well, which I think will give us a really different look. And I think one extra drop of alcohol ink went in this, and that's why it's a shade darker than the other. But again, straight into the piping bag and ready to go. I'm amazed at the minute that I've not poured them all into the same bag. I've done that a few times. But so far, everything seems to be going to plan. And then this next one I'm going to use is this, I call it a fake ocean white, which I've got from Temu. And it's very clearly trying to copy the Let's Resin one. But it's a lot more liquidy. It's a lot more watery than the actual ocean white. And it's not as opaque. But I thought for this experiment, it'll be interesting to try a runnier white, because the other two I've used are quite thick. And again, I didn't know how many drops to put in, but again, it's not very opaque. So I ended up putting in around about 10 drops of this, just to try and give it a level of opaqueness that was similar to the others. But there we go. This is, as I say, it's the fake one from Temu. And I don't really use that in blooms anymore because it's just too wishy-washy. You don't get the same effect. And again, just putting in 2-3 drops of that sapphire blue from Let's Resin, just to give us another blue shade, if you like. But again, guys, this channel is yours as well as mine. So do me a favour, put something in comments. What experiments do you want to see, what we've not done so far? Because I want your ideas. I want this to be your channel as well as mine, so that we can all keep growing together. So do me a favour, stick something in comments. What do you want to see next? Do you like the blooms? Do you like the crazier experiments like the ostrich egg that we did? What do you prefer? Let me know. And there we go. So that is the third one, going straight into that piping bag. And then we should be ready to go. And the idea is to see what effects we get with each of these whites. And hopefully we'll get some slightly different effects and figure out which one of these 3 whites is the best for the lace effect. So now they're ready. Before I actually go in with the resin, I actually need to pour some of this around the edges of each mould, because that's how the lacing effect works. So I'm just folding the piping bags over and getting them ready to pipe. And the idea is to just go around the edge of each one of these moulds. So I'm going to cut it off just where the air bubble meets the resin. And then we're going to pipe. And again, if you've not got any of these piping bags, guys, get some. They cost pennies, but they make it a lot more easier to control your resin. So again, just trying to make sure it's even here, going around the edge. And this is the lotus flower mould that I'm going to be using. And this first one's using the Supreme White. And there we go. Reasonably happy with that. Looks quite even. There was just a tiny bit missing from that tip, so I just added one more drop. And that's that one pretty much ready. Next one is going to be the actual Let's Resin Ocean White. And just going to do exactly the same process, guys. And again, interestingly, on the last live, let me know, because most of my audience, I know you're not guys, you're actually ladies. Let me know if you find it offensive if I use the term guys. I think it's to be honest, it's YouTube talk. And I think a lot of us have got used to just saying it. And obviously, if you do find it offensive, it'd be interesting to know so that I can try and stop using it in these videos. And here we go, that's number 2. So again, pretty even around the edge, and that should be ready for the resin to be poured in as well. Right, and now for the final one, which is the fake ocean white, we'll call it. And again, if you compare the two side by side, there's no comparison. So just be careful when you're ordering things from Temu. If I started just doing blooms with this, I would be really disappointed. So again, make sure if you're ordering products off Temu, you know that they can be inferior to the actual brands. And again, just doing exactly the same here. Going around the edge, trying to keep it as even as possible so that we get an even result at least. And we just see what effect these different whites have. Let me know what you think. It'd be interesting to know your thoughts on which one you think is going to work better, if any of them work. Because as we all know, with resin, nothing is guaranteed. Resin does what resin wants to do. So there we go. So that's the sides. Next, I'm just going to pour in the resin all the way to the edges, and then hopefully that can start pulling that white into the center. And they're not quite full. I got them about 3/4 of the way. And I thought by doing that, it leaves enough space for me to pipe in a 3D bloom as well as to put that center in. And there we go. That's that one pretty much there. And then the final one. So that is the resin poured. Now, as I said, I wanted to do a 3D bloom as well in these, which I haven't seen done before with the lace effect. So I just thought it'd be fun to try it for the first time and see what happens. So I'm just leaving it settle for a second, torching off any bubbles as always. Now, whenever you use a torch, guys, try not to get too close to your mold. Otherwise, you will burn your mold and the resin will bond to it and then you won't be able to use it again. So just be really careful. Or use a long neck lighter, you know, it's got less heat in it. And then that way there's less risk of ruining your molds. So now we've done that, it's time for the alcohol inks. And initially I was thinking about doing an orange, but then I thought, do you know what? No, I'm just going to do 2 different shades of blue. So again, using the sapphire blue for this one, first of all, just on the outside, 1 drop per petal. And then I decided, because I want it to spread in further, I'd just add a 2nd drop at the bottom as well, which just helps it spread a little bit. And I'm loving these colours already, because hopefully that baby blue with this darker alcohol ink blue as well will look really nice. Next, I'm going in with one of my favourite blues, which is cerulean, which is almost a light tealy turquoisey colour. And I'm just putting 1 dot all the way around to fill in that centre. And now I'm just going to repeat the process for the other 2. Again, with these being a slightly different shape mould, I thought it'd be interesting to put 2 drops side by side. And hopefully that would still cover the whole petal. And then in again with the cerulean. And I love these colours together. I'm definitely going to be doing a few more blooms in these colour schemes. And don't forget, guys, if you're still here, I'm just going to put the QR code up in the corner as well. So if you're watching on the telly, point your phone at the telly, click on the QR code. It should take you straight to the option to subscribe to the channel. Makes a huge difference, and a massive thank you to everyone that has, and all of the members. Really appreciate each and every one of you. So there we go. That's the inks, and I'm just letting them settle for a little second so it hopefully doesn't affect anything that's going to happen with the bloom. And now the interesting part for me is going to be, can we get a 3D bloom in the center as well as having that lacing effect? So now just going to put the centers in and just literally putting a blob of each of this mixture into the center of each, hopefully getting it quite central. And there we go. Then they're not perfectly central, but I was reasonably happy with them. Just wanted to push them around a little bit to make sure that I was comfortable that they were at least looking like they were in the center of each one of these coasters. And again, if ever you do this, just be gentle. You don't want to scratch your mold. It's about just making sure that everything's covered in resin and you've got it reasonably close to that center. There we go. So relatively happy with those, and now it's a case of piping in the blooms, and I thought I'd just go with a standard sort of spiral design for these just to keep it simple, and to be fair, the spiral blooms are some of my favorites. Yes, they're simple, but I think they give you some of the best results, and it's just making sure I go back in with the same whites that I used for the edges for each one. So again, just starting in the center and creating a spiral design, he says. I just had to unfold the bag because I'd forgotten that I'd folded the bag over, and that's why the resin wasn't coming out. Here we go. So again, just creating that spiral, starting a little bit further out because I'd already put that center in. And I wanted that to stay pretty much the way it's looking right now without too much white pulling into the center. There we go. And that's the first one. And again, I didn't want to go all the way out to the edges because I was hoping that the lacing effect would pull in. And that way we would just get a small 3D bloom in the center. That's why I've only done sort of probably 4 or 5 rings, and I'm going to try and replicate the same on these coasters. So this is the second one. And again, if you use a piping bag, ever since I've started using piping bags in my blooms, I've not had the dreaded blobs. So it just gives you a little bit more control, guys. So if you are having problems with blobs in your blooms, try piping them. And again, I've got full tutorials on 3D blooms if anyone is struggling with them. So go back through the videos, have a look, and I'm sure you'll find one that helps. But again, this is the third one now using the fake ocean white. And as you can see, all of them, I didn't want to go all the way to the edge. And now I'm just going to draw in those petals with this silicone tool. And again, dead straightforward. start at 12 o'clock, pull it in. Then the opposite side, pull it in. Oh, I chose not to follow my own advice. But the main thing is you're following like a clock face, and that's how you're going to get these petals. And remember not to go too deep. You don't need to be touching the base of your mould or anything like that. It is just literally tickling that surface and creating those petals. And there we go. I was reasonably happy with that. Now I'm going to speed up the other two because I'm doing exactly the same process.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. A positive visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We born together, blooming free, resin family. Testing my God's new creations. We set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just for me and you. Masterpieces rising, crafted with our hands. Testing new colors in the sparkland. For all your epoxy and carving dreams come true. Oh yeah. Together we learn part and carve right through. Welcome to custom carving, where fun's in the air. Epoxy and laughter is everywhere. Jargon to colors, crafting trees from our heart to guns. Building our masterpieces with the magic style. Where all your epoxy and carving dreams come true. Together we learn more.
There we go. Now I'm just looking at my drip molds, and I'm just going to pour the rest of the resin into this egg. And then I've also got a turtle mold by the side of me that I thought would be really cool just to use up all of this white and the blues to try and create an extra piece to demold. Always use up your spare resin. Always have a few extra molds by the side of you. And when you do these drip molds, the great thing is you never know what effect you're going to get until they're completely full. But it's a great way to use up the resin. So again, just going to fast forward you past this part whilst I've used up all of this spare resin. Then we'll be back, because all we need to do then is wait for them to cure. Should take around about 24 hours, and then we can demold.
From dragons to blooms, we're carving up good. Testing new products, adding eagles that glow. Rolling together, one shark community.
And here we go, 24 hours later. These are cured and we are ready to demold. So I'm excited for this. I can see from the back that it's definitely had some reaction. We have had a bloom happen, which is great. Do I think we've got the lacing effect? No, but we'll see what happens. So the first one I'm going to demold is this first drip mold, which is basically a dragon egg, which I think I've been filling for about 6 or 7 projects now. So it's going to be really exciting just to see what it looks like and what it comes out like, because this was just the final piece of filling it. Always a bit of a pain to demold as well, these. So I think, again, it's come out really cool. Just those different layers. And that one there in the clear, it almost looks like the marshmallow effect. So really, really like how this has come out. And I say, it's just that spare resin I've had from each project, poured into that egg, and then leaving it to cure. And sometimes they come out with really cool pieces. Now, this is the first time I've used this turtle mold as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. But yeah, these eggs are amazing. And all it is my spare drips thrown into the egg. And whatever happens at the end happens. And Easter's on its way. So, you know, they might actually become a bestseller. Now, I'm just being really careful with this turtle as well. Going around the fins. They're still a tiny bit soft, but I know that they're the most fragile bits on this. So want to be really careful as I'm going around and just demolding it. Again, it's always fun the first time to figure out the best way to do it. Just really being careful around those fins though, because if anything's going to break on this, it's likely to be those fins. And I did figure out in the end, it's easier to just stretch it over those fins to get them out. But always take your time at demolding, guys. You don't want to waste the effort that you've put in by snapping something off in the demold. And if you do, you can always use a bit of UV resin to fix it. But you're better off not breaking it off in the first place. So same with like when you do frogs, be very careful around the toes because they're the most fragile part. So here we go. I think I demolded both of the fins at this point, and now it's just a case of getting the head out. There we go. So that's the head. One fin. And two fins. Finally, he's out. But really love the detail on this mold. You can see almost every scale on him. You can see his eyes, his mouth. Really, really like this. And I think the sparkly centre came out really well in the centre of the shell as well. And that, again, it was just left over what I had. So really happy with him. It's my first turtle. But yeah, let me know what you think. I really like the way he came out. And he's going to be sitting on my bathroom shelf, I think. But now let's demold what we came here to look at and see if we've got a 3D bloom, B, if we've got that lacing effect with any of these different whites or not, and C, overall, let's just have a look at what they look like. So I'm starting off with this knockoff ocean white. And I can see from the backs, they all look different. So they've all had a different effect. So this is the one that I did with the Supreme White from Just For You. And again, I'm going to demold it first. All you want to do with this mold is just literally fold it over the tips, and then the rest should just come out easily. So this is the first one. Do you think we've got the lacing effect? Do you think we've got a bloom? Wow. Love that bloom. Love the centre. Didn't really get the lacing effect. And I think that's because I didn't put enough white in to make it concentrated enough. But I did love the bloom. I thought it came out really well in the centre. And again, it gave us a slightly different effect. So it's not the lacing effect, but I like it. And I think if I try this again, I am going to put more white in just to make it a little bit more opaque and make sure there's enough to pull in, because it looks like it tried to pull in on this one, but I don't think I gave it enough white to let it do it. So the next one I'm going to do is the Let's Resin Ocean White, the actual one. And again, I'm intrigued to see if we're going to get a different result. Because on the back, they all look very different. Here we go. Let me know in comments though. What do you think? What do you think we're going to get? Wow. Again, I like it. It's not the lacing effect though. Didn't really get that lacing, but I love the bloom in the center. And I love the color of the blue rather than the white around the edge. I just think it makes it look a little bit more pretty. And again, that center's come out really, really well in these. So that is the Let's Resin Ocean White version. And I am going to get you some close-ups at the end. Look at the back on this one, though. This is the knockoff Ocean White from Temu. And again, it's very clearly a fake, which is trying to copy the Let's Resin one. But again, it looks very different. And I think, if anything, this is probably the one where we're more likely to get the lacing effect. Because the videos I've seen where it's worked, it tends to be more of a liquidy white. Have we got the lacing effect in this one? Or have we got 3 without the lacing effect, but that still look pretty cool? Wow. Again, it's not the lacing effect, but I actually quite like this. I think with this particular mold, the way it pulled it in, I actually really like that look. And it still created those petals. And again, the center looks great. The 3D bloom looks great in it as well. So actually, it's an inferior product, but I quite like the result. Even though it wasn't the lacing effect. So all in all, I think I'm pretty happy. Let me know which one's your favourite in comments. First, second or third. I'm going to get you some close-ups of these as well, so you can see the different results we had. But yeah, I quite like this one. I think it came out really nice. But let me know which one's your favourite. And don't forget, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. Put something in comments. If you've liked it, if you've learnt anything, give it a thumbs up. It all makes a massive difference. And I'll put the QR code up again if you want to subscribe. It would really be appreciated. Costs you nothing, but it means everything to the channel. So I'm just going to get you some close-ups, and I will see you guys on the next one. And I will be trying this again because I do want to see if I can actually get the lacing effect.
Welcome to our custom space where dreams take flight. Positive visions coming to life. It's a perfect sight. We pull together, blooming 3 resin family. Testing my guts, new creations. We set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just for me and you. Masterpieces rising, crafted with our hands. Testing new colors with the sparkland.